Hi, I'm PiePusher11, and this is my submission for Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. The first two worlds were played at the Mystery Tournament at AGDQ last year, and I'm submitting to show off the whole game. As such, I feel that submitting 100% is the best category to show off the game, as casually the game is very much a score attack game. So 100% is a very good mix of a speedrun and a score attack. The game is played with the DK bongos, of course, and despite only having the two buttons, there's a surprising amount of depth to what you're allowed to do as DK. Controls are very fluid, and there's a ton of scenario-specific objects to interact with, like these monkeys and swinging on the flowers. And there's a very in-depth combo system that you really need to understand well to maximize your points. With such an emphasis on points in the 100% category, finding the most points that takes the least time is very important. For example, this bonus game here that comes after every level is basically a free 60 points or so. So, in 100%, you need to get 1200 points in every kingdom. There's 4 crests in every kingdom. You always get bronze, and then silver at 400, gold at 800, platinum at 1200. So, the 100% definition would be getting all platinum crests. The reason I think 100% is the best category to show off is that it shows off so much more of the score attack aspect of the game that you don't see as much in any percent. However, overall, the time difference between an any percent run and 100% run is pretty negligible. The difference in the world records currently is about 6 minutes. So as you saw in this last section, I was building up my combo meter before going up there, because each point on your combo meter, like I had a combo of 6 up there, it multiplies every banana you get by that combo. So going up there with a 6 combo is the fastest way to get 1200 points in this kingdom. And as you see, I just barely scraped by with 11 points. I've rooted most kingdoms to have probably about 50 points of leeway, but some kingdoms there's just really not enough there, and you really need to cut it that close. So this is the first boss of the game, Dread Kong. As you can see, it's kind of a punch-out style fight. There's 4 types of bosses in the game, and we'll get to the others in the next 3 kingdoms. So as you can see, after his health drops below 300, the boss gets mad. You'll see every boss in the game do this when their health drops below 300. And when that happens, they get harder. Usually they add an attack, or in this case, he just punches a little bit faster. So here is the crest ceremony. We see this after every kingdom. DK throws the barrel and drops all the bananas he's collected. And the sacred tree gives us our crests. So while there's some downtime before the next kingdom starts, I'd like to talk a little more about how the combo system works and how points work in this game. So, as you could see earlier, when DK claps, there's a green circle and a red circle. The green circle is just sort of a shockwave that can stun enemies and things like that. And the red circle represents how far DK can grab, like how far his arms can stretch out and grab something. So any bananas that are inside that ring when you clap will be clap grabbed. And doing that makes them worth more points, and it's worth more the more you grab in a single clap. And on top of that is the combo that I've mentioned before. And for every unique thing you do in midair, like backflip, ground pound, wall jump, etc., you gain 1 on your combo. And every banana you collect is multiplied by that combo. So there's no... you can't see it in this level, but actually when you're in midair on this guy, it actually counts as having a 2 combo. So that's why you'll see right here I jump through these, even though it's seemingly pointless. Other than that, though, this level is basically an auto-scroller and would be a perfect time for reading donations, say. So coming up on the end of this level, there's this jump here. And now we don't really need the points. The farther you jump, I believe you get 1 point for every 10 feet you jump. But we don't really need the points, so I'm just gonna try to land as quick as possible so we can just move on to the next level. So coming up on the next level, Sky Garden here. We're gonna start this combo right before this flower. We're gonna fit in a ground pound there to get a few more points for this combo. That'll be something pretty standard you'll see throughout the run, is starting a combo with a ground pound and a backflip if possible, just to get that combo, I don't know, meter up a little higher for that. So since the first level in this kingdom was basically an auto-scroller that got us 800 points, for like 850 right there, there's not a whole lot of points we need to make up in Sky Garden, so we can pretty much just run right through without really worrying about points. And you'll see I made 1200 pretty easily here. So the boss of Orange Kingdom, Scruff Rock here, is actually really interesting. It's one of 3 bosses that is reasonable to kill without making them mad. Now remember I said that bosses get mad when their health drops below 300. So I intentionally leave him with 310 health here. And if you mash fast enough, you can kill him right here, and that skips the cutscene of him getting mad at you. And also with this boss in particular, there's a cloud of smoke that would go around the egg. And you wouldn't be able to just grab it right away. You'd have to jump into it, stun him, get flung back, and then go after him again just to be able to grab it. So killing Scruff Rock without making him mad saves quite a bit of time, probably up to 10 seconds. So one thing I really love about this game is that almost every level has something interesting and unique about it. For example, we don't really see it here, but Monkey Fest, if you wanted to, you could beat this level entirely by clapping. You don't have to press the bongos once. Of course, it's much better to build up a big combo right at the beginning, but just a fun fact, it's possible to beat this level without touching the bongos once. I forgot to mention the first time that we saw these flowers, how they work. Basically, if you collect 100 of them, they'll just straight add 100 points to your total. But if you get any less, even 99 or 98, they do nothing. So that was actually a pretty bad mistake that I missed those flowers. But as you can see, there's enough extra points. There's enough safety built into this route that it's still very reasonable to get 1200. It's a little tight since I missed 100 points, but it's nothing I can't manage. So this game really does a great job of teaching you all the mechanics you need to know in a really, you know, in a safe environment. Like, this coconut tree pig here throws coconuts at you, and you want to jump up to them and hit the bongo towards him to hit it in his direction and hit him 3 times and he's dead. But, and then the boss here is our first hog fight, Rogue Hog, and you'll see we use that same mechanic of hitting coconuts back at him, except this time they're electrified. So we have to actually clap grab them to get rid of the electricity before hitting him back at him. So once Rogue Hog gets mad, he will start throwing red spiked balls at you as well, and you can't hit those back. But what you can do to save a little bit of time is just rush him down and punch him by clapping. And that hits a coconut out of him, so you can save a little bit of time by doing that instead of waiting for the next time he throws a coconut at you. It's not worth it to do that in the first cycle because he already throws the coconut at you so quickly. So moving on to Apple Kingdom, this is probably one of the hardest ones to do really fast because the points that are available in this kingdom are actually, there's not all that many. You just barely scrape by with 1200, no matter what you do. There is a nice 7 combo that starts here, but it just doesn't cover as much points as you'd expect a 7 combo to. You'd probably expect that to give you at least 600 or 700 points, but right here all you get out of this is, I think, 300 from this combo. There's a neat little trick here. Once you start this fight with the armadillo, there's an invisible wall that pops up on the left side. So I actually slow my momentum down to grab that wall and wall jump. And by being aggressive at him and hitting him quickly like that, I'm actually able to hit him a lot sooner than I normally would, and that saves a good 4 or 5 seconds right there. So there's no big combos in this level at all. You really need to just scrape as much as you can out of every point. Get as many backflips and ground pounds as you can. One good thing, of course, is that there's those flowers that give you 100 points. It'd be nearly impossible to get 1200 quickly without that. So here's our second encounter with the chicken plant. By stalling on this monkey a couple times, I'm actually able to hit him before he completely lowers his head. Now, unlike most levels, the end of this one involves a platform jump game with a hoofer here. Every platform you jump gives you 10 points, plus there's those 2 bananas up in the air that are worth 7 if you, once all is said and done. So each jump is worth 17 points. That's why getting as many points as possible in the level is really important, because getting 1200 is easy, but of course you have to waste time doing those jumps. Now here we have our 4th type of boss, the Tusk. They're the only type of boss that you don't actually mash to beat up. All you have to do is throw pineapples into his trunk as he's sort of breathing in to shoot cannonballs at you, and then he spits out 4 pineapples, throw them all into his heart, and that's it for Turret Tusk. So as I sort of alluded to before, the game is split up into 4 sections of 4 kingdoms, and each section has one of each type of boss. So 1 Kong fight, 1 Rock, 1 Hog, and 1 Tusk. Though not necessarily in that order. So moving into Strawberry Kingdom, and we meet our good friend the Helibird. Controls on this guy are a little weird. You can only go up, basically. So mashing the left button will make you go left and up, mashing the right one will make you go right and up, and then mashing both will sort of cancel out the movement so you go straight up. So moving directly sideways or even down, you have to really let off of the button and take it a little slow. It's a little awkward to learn, but once you get it down, it's not too bad. So Spirit Tree has another big combo in it. I believe we get as high as a 10 combo in this one. And the vast majority of the points in the entire kingdom are gotten right at the very end. There's 2 things that spit out bananas when clapped at, and this is when we have our 10 combo, so we're getting 10 plus points for each banana. So it's, while we could have gotten a lot more points before this, and even in the first level, it's just not worth it, because if you just sit here and collect these bananas, you're just racking up so many points so quickly. And that's That'll be plenty to get us to 1200. Now here we have our second hog fight, Mohog. So each boss, the second fight, will start off just like the first one was when he was mad. So right now he can throw those red spiky balls at us. So that's why I hop down and punch him here. And as we see, when he gets mad, he's going to gain another attack where he just charges at you really quickly like this. And you don't want to be in the way of him when he does that. So, you know, I sort of glossed over this up to this point, but your points are also your health. So if you're just barely at 1200 and you get hit on the boss fight, then there's no chance to regain any more points. So you just dropped below 1200 and there goes your platinum crest. So you gotta really watch out if you're just at the cutoff. And so that's another big reason why I root in an extra 40 or 50 points in most kingdoms. So Pineapple is actually one of my favorite kingdoms. It's both levels in it are big combos throughout the entire level. So if you're going for just score attack, your score on Pineapple is going to be one of the highest. I think I've gotten over 3,000, maybe 3,500. Can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but yeah, the second level in Pineapple also introduces underwater mechanics. So underwater mechanics are, as I think about it, kind of similar to how Hellebirds work, except backwards. Mashing the right bongo goes right and down, and then the left one makes you go left and down. If you mash both alternately, you can actually dive straight down really quickly. And if you press both at the same time, just like jumping, you'll DK will actually swim straight up. So just like how it's hard for the Hellebirds to move straight horizontally, it's also difficult underwater to do the same thing. So optimizing underwater movement can be very tricky sometimes. And as you see, we start the level by ground pounding into the ocean. Since this all counts as never touching the ground, starting off the level with the ground pound means you've just doubled your points right there. Now we're diving down under this sunken ship to meet our good friend Orca. And so when the level starts, Orca starts swimming in a circle there. So if you're fast enough, you can actually grab him as he's on his way out, and it saves a couple seconds. Unfortunately, I was a little slow, so I missed that perfect cycle. But that's not a huge time loss. So Karate Kong is next, and that's our next Punch-Out style fight. This is another boss where it's reasonable to kill him without making him mad. I don't believe I go for it this run. It can be risky because it's... I mean, I'm not 100% with getting it. So next is Lemon, and our first race, actually. We're racing against the CHOPPERBIRD. And it's hard to tell here, but if you look really closely, you can see two legs poking out of him. He's actually a person in a bird suit. Just another fun fact there. In the community, we like to joke that it's Il Piantissimo from Mario Sunshine. So a good time on this race is 42 seconds. 44 is a little slow for me, but not terrible. Going into Cactus Mine, this is another big combo level. We actually start our combo right here with this backflip. I believe in this run I mess it up and I land here? Yeah, yep. So that's really unfortunate. I should have had a 6 combo, but I have a 3 right now, so I'm missing out on a lot of points right here. But in the end, it's not the end of the world. It's still possible to get 1200. So again, I feel like the game does this so well. It introduces a concept in some of the earlier levels, and then as the game progresses, really makes it more and more challenging. This coconut tree pig. Now we're fighting on a trampoline vine. And we'll see more of those as the game goes on, and we'll see more and more difficult versions of them. More and more difficult versions of the regular bosses as well. Now this spider, once you grab his face, there's 3 possible patterns. He could open his eyes left, left, right, right, middle, which we just saw. Left, right, middle. Or just left, right, middle. And of course that third one would be the fastest option. But it's complete RNG what pattern you get. It's only like a second time loss anyway. So Fleet Rock is our second rock fight. And now, as I was saying with Scruff Rock, there's that cloud around his egg that you have to stun him first. And just like Scruff Rock, I kill him without making him mad. Again, this is just to save the cutscene. Now, Grape Kingdom, just like Apple Kingdom, is really tight on points. This first level is sort of underwater, but sort of not. It's got all this floating water. Not too much to say about this level. The whole thing is a single combo. This part at the end can be kind of tricky, maneuvering around this diamond without landing on it, as well as right here, knowing exactly where and when to ground pound to still be able to get 100 flowers. It's very important to get those 100 flowers. It's nearly impossible to get 1200 without them. And the beginning of this Primeval Ruins is the dreaded 11 bats. This is incredibly difficult to optimize your points for. I didn't backflip to start this, but I could have. I'm looking for 780 to 800 points coming out of there. And I got 783, I believe. So, not ideal, but I can work with it. Now we're swinging on these monkey chains, and in this next screen here, you can see if the monkeys are swinging forward, you can jump up off of them, and they're positioned perfectly so you can jump straight to the next one and skip waiting for them. So I know I'm not going to get 1200 if I ignore those frogs, so I really need to get the points from them. And here we have Grave Tusk. Definitely a harder version of Turret Tusk. Once he's mad, he can start shooting lasers at you, and if you're quick enough, you can actually get a pineapple in his trunk before he starts to fire the laser. I believe I messed that up a little bit in this run. Let's see here. Yeah, I messed up grabbing that pineapple, so I was a little slow getting there, but luckily you can still hit his body to sort of stun them out of doing the laser and get it in there still pretty quickly. Not perfect, but still pretty quickly. So, moving on to Cherry Kingdom, we have our first ice level. And the ice physics in this game are really not too different from the regular physics. The main difference is that you can't do backflips, but instead, by doing the same inputs, you would do a spin jump. This sort of gains you more height than a normal jump, and still starts you off with a 2 combo. And that's actually going to be used for a minor skip later on in this level. The beginning of this level is pretty straightforward. There's a combo there at the beginning to get enough points that are required for platinum, and this part here is just really just go through this part as quick as possible. There's not too many points out of the way you can even get. There's a cool little trick here. Right after I do this ground pound into the water, if you clap, you can actually stop your ground pound momentum if it's going into the water. And that makes entry into the water and getting that wall jump off the wall really smooth. So here we have another Kokopee fight, and right after we kill this guy, we're actually not going to kill the second one, and use a spin jump up towards this wall to jump over that wall early and skip killing the second one entirely. Then the rest of Aurora Glacier is just run to the end and get as much as we can out of the mashing game at the end. VOLCANO, there's not too much to talk about in the beginning of this level, although this level does introduce 2 new mini-bosses. One right at the top of this cliff here, and one right at the end of the level. This first one is sort of like a game of tennis with the mini-boss. He shoots sort of black smoke at you, and when it gets really close to you, it collapses into a single meteor, and that's when you have to clap to hit it back. If you clap early, you'll just clap that smoke back at him and it won't do any damage. So you need to wait until it's really close to you. Coming up in just a second is the second mini-boss introduced in this level, which is this dancing panda, and after a brief period of time he'll release a blue shockwave that you have to clap back at him to stun him. And as you see here, I do a bit of a combo set up into it to get more points from him. And that's it for the levels in Cherry Kingdom. The boss of Cherry Kingdom is our third rock fight, Hard Rock, which is pretty appropriately named, as I feel this is actually the hardest of the 4 rock fights. There's really not much options to move around in this stage, and that's really the biggest issue. Luckily the fight worked out pretty well in this run. An interesting thing to note about Hard Rock is it is the only fight where the start of it is not identical to the Mad phase of the previous one. Hard Rock in its first phase can actually shoot those blue meteors, where Fleet Rock couldn't in his Mad phase. So moving on to Peach Kingdom. Arctic Plunge here, it looks like it's an ice level, but actually the only part of it that's actually ice physics is the downslope after this first water section. Like right at the beginning there, that's not ice physics, even though it looks like ice. Here we have a quick downslope into some half pipes. There's not really too many points you can get from here, so we just sort of rush through here as quick as we can. And right after this downslope is going to be a water section, so we're going to start this with a spin jump and a ground pound to get as much points out of this water section as we can. Coming up right after this guy, we have an underwater version of that tennis sort of mini-boss that we saw in VOLCANO. And when we kill this guy, we actually get to grab his fin and ride him for a while. This part is all scripted. You don't really control where he goes. But he explodes into some bananas, so grab those to get as many points out of that as we can. And then there's an option for a platform jump game here, but there's plenty of points in this kingdom, so we just skip that. Moving on to Ancient Foundry. Much of this level is pretty straightforward, and you don't really even need to start anything with backflips or ground pounds. There's enough points in this level that you don't even need to worry about that. This bee fight coming up will blow at you if you get too close. So the best way to deal with him is to back up a little bit, and then once you reach above him, he'll stop blowing at you, so that's when you can swoop in for the kill. One more tennis mini-boss, then another screen with some moving platforms, and that'll be it for Ancient Foundry. Ah yes, and they throw in one more armadillo mini-boss fight just for good measure. This is basically identical to the one in Apple Kingdom. I believe it takes one or two more hits up before you can kill him. So, something really interesting about Torch Tusk. Now, if you remember the first two Tusk fights, after you stun him and expose their heart, you throw all 5 pineapples into his heart, and as soon as that 5th one hits, they all explode immediately. Well, for Torch Tusk, now I don't know if this is a programming error or what, but with Torch Tusk, even with all 5 pineapples in, they still have to wait out this timer to explode. So what you'll see me doing is hold on to the 5th one, so that I'm ready to throw it right away once it comes up, since it won't save any time. It won't save any extra cycles by giving him a little bit more damage per cycle. So it works out that the best way to deal with Torch Tusk is to just hold on to the 5th pineapple. It's the only Tusk fight where it's like that. I don't know why. So Iguanodon's run, just like Silver Snow Peak, is basically 1 minute and 51 seconds of auto-scroller, so this would be another great time for a donation reading. Nothing too interesting going on here, just mashing right, clapping to shoot pineapples up at stuff, and that's pretty much the entire level. And again, just like Silver Snow Peak, we have a long jump game, and again, just like Silver Snow Peak, there's plenty of points in this kingdom, so the best thing to do is to drop as soon as possible. Banshee Swamp has a single large combo at the end over the second half of the level, so I can safely ignore these points early on in the level that are worth next to nothing in comparison. Unfortunately, I have to sort of wait a second on this platform for those meteors to go by, but it gives me a second to sort of prepare myself and line myself up for that edge hop. And now if you don't stun this guy quick enough, there's a chance that he'll breathe fire and hit you out of your combo, and you'll lose a ton of points that way, so you gotta be quick stunning him. And making that jump isn't trivial either. This Hellebird flying section is pretty tight. It's possible to still get 1200 points if you land, take those points, and then wall jump up through the meat eater section, but it's, I like doing it better that way. This bird coming up at the top can drop either pineapple or the red spiked fruit. Now, just like earlier, the red spiked fruit you can't do anything with, it can only hurt you. So, there's a 50-50 chance of him dropping either one, and there's no limit to how many pineapples you can drop, so you just sort of have to wait until he drops a pineapple. I've had it go as high as 10 spiked fruits, and I've, of course, had first try pineapples, like in this run. So there's a neat little AI manipulation with Bloathog here. If you stand still for half a second at the start of the fight, he'll always go up to this top platform. If you start moving immediately, he'll move up to the rock, where you can't reach him. So I'm able to hit him a lot earlier. And another interesting thing to note about this fight is that the waterfall in the background actually causes a little bit of lag, so it's easier to mash closer to frame perfect in this fight, and I'm able to get about 50 damage extra on this hog compared to the other ones. Durian Kingdom has to be my favorite in the game. Both levels have such great soundtracks. Battle for Storm Hill, especially the first half, has the movement is just so fun to execute. There's so much stuff flying at you everywhere. These pigs, cannonballs, and ninja apes. And the second level, AERIE Fortress, is all just one huge combo, and with the second half is probably the hardest Helibird section in the game, so it's really intense. Another thing I really like is how the two levels sort of really fit together well and almost tell a story in their own of DK, like, you know, storming the castle, and the second level, AERIE Fortress, is all about infiltrating the castle and stuff like that, you know. So, AERIE Fortress is one big combo. From the time I make that backflip, I will not touch the ground again until the end of the level. And this is actually the biggest combo in the game, surprisingly enough. It's very reasonable to get over 1,000 points just from the combo itself. This is partially due to just how big the combo is. It's one of 3 points in the run where we get to see an 11 combo or higher. There's actually a later level, Cloudy Heights, that gets as high as a 17 combo, I believe. But points-wise, AERIE Fortress is the biggest combo in the game. And right here is the Halberd getting our 11 combo. So now we have a really tight Halberd section. This is very difficult. One wrong move, even just hitting the wall, and your run's over. Even if you safely land and get your points, just having the 11 combo through this section is so important to getting 1,200 points for the platinum. So we've seen these mosquitoes earlier in the run. Clap grabbing them gives you points, which I try to get as many of them clap grabbed as I can. But these mosquitoes actually take 2, like if you hit them with the shockwave, it'll actually take 2 hits to kill them. Ones earlier in the game only take 1. And there we have it. That's the one time in the run that you'll see over 1,000 from a single combo. So Ninja Kong is really cool, and he's actually one of my favorite bosses as well. He's the only Kong fight that will actually dodge your punches. So there's sort of a back and forth game of you dodging his punches, him dodging yours, until you finally get to attack him. And in this third cycle, after he gets mad, if you actually dodge this kick as well, you sort of get that special Shoryuken uppercut that we like to call the Shoryukong. Okay, so we've done the D barrel, K barrel, the J barrel. It's time for the B barrel, right? Well, not exactly. First we gotta deal with Cactus King. So as soon as we go into the level, you'll be able to see that versus Cactus King is very different from the rest of the kingdoms. Obviously, there's just the one level versus Cactus King. And now we start with 200 beats instead of 20. Now, with just one level, how can we possibly be expecting to get 1,200 points? Well, as it turns out, defeating Cactus King will give you 800 points right there. So all we need going into the fight is at least 400. As for the fight itself, there's 4 ways of attacking Cactus King. If you clap when you're behind him, you will throw him backwards against the wall. If you clap when you're above him, DK will strike him with his fists and knock him down to the ground. If you clap when you're in front of him, you'll initiate a mini Kong fight, I guess, where you have to dodge his punch and then beat him up quickly. And if you clap right at his feet while he's kicking up in the air, you can actually sweep his legs, hit him up into the air, and then beat him up from up there. The fastest way to beat him is to slip behind him, throw him up against the wall, beat him up like that, and repeat 3 times. And down goes Cactus King. So after this crest ceremony, there's another short level that's the closing ceremony. And after that, the credits will roll. But the game's not over yet. And unfortunately, there's no way to skip the credits. So this is just a nice 3-minute or so break for now. This will be another perfect time for reading some donations. And I'll be back in a few minutes when the next kingdom starts. And getting started on the last 4 kingdoms of the game with Para Kingdom. The first stage in Para Kingdom is Deep Sea Sprint. This is another race, and just like before, getting first place in the race gives you 500 points, and any places lower give you less and less until 4th place gives you nothing. But that's not something you really have to worry about, as getting first isn't terribly difficult. There actually are some more points if you go up right there, but they're way too out of the way, and it's just not worth getting them in a speedrun. So there's our 500 points, and after the bonus minigame we're on to Clock Tower. Now, Clock Tower is another level that is a combo throughout almost the entire level here. So starting this with a backflip and a ground pound really increases the amount of points that you get in this combo. These cannons up here always shoot the same pattern, so once you learn how to weave through them, it's not terribly difficult. Here's another interesting mechanic that you really only see here. It's these conveyor belts. So you can sort of cling to the wall and slowly slide up them since the conveyor belts are moving up. That's just a neat little game mechanic that's never really seen anywhere else in the whole game. This Hellebird section here is really tight. It's really hard to maneuver perfectly through these gears, and combined with the fact that Hellebird controls aren't exactly easy to work with, makes that section kind of dangerous. That bee back there is not really much of a threat. It doesn't blow you back nearly as strong as the other ones do. You can really go right up to him from below. Now, this section here, they intend for you to... you get the clock started by clapping that giant banana, and they intend for you to sort of go clockwise through it. But if you wait down here a little bit and wait for it to pass, you can actually get up to the end way sooner than you would otherwise. Now, unlike Bloathog, Gloathog here doesn't have an easy way to manipulate his AI. After this first set of red spiked fruits he throws, he could either go to the upper platform or the lower platform. Luckily, both are about equal, so if you're ready for either one, there's not really much of a problem. After this first cycle, I get really lucky, and he just jumps straight to me, so I'm able to punch a coconut out of him right away. And that's about as perfect as this boss fight can be expected to go. So Hellebird Dash is another race. They really fit a lot of the race levels right at the end of the game here. Despite being a Hellebird race, it's actually faster in quite a few points of the level to drop off of the Hellebird and then run to the next one. I'm not sure quite how much time it saves, but it's pretty significant. Using these blowers here also saves time. It allows you to fly upwards much, much faster than just mashing bongos. Drop and run to the next one last time. Use these blowers here and finish the race. A good time for this race is just under a minute, so like 58, 59 seconds would be pretty good. The Lava Cavern starts with this slow auto-scroller up. There's no way to speed this up. There's nothing really to do in it either besides just clap to keep these bats away. This moving platform here is really cycle-based, so they see messing up climbing there means I couldn't jump over that lava pillar before it goes up, and I just barely miss being able to make it across before the end of the platform falls in the lava. Now from here until the end of the level is one big combo again. So starting off this with a backflip, again, gains a lot of points compared to not doing it, as every banana in the entire combo is worth one more. A bit of a break here from Clock Tower. This one's a nice, easy halberd section. And after these monkey bushes, there's another floral section here. You have to sort of mash the bongos there while you're waiting, because if you press nothing, you'll descend quicker and you won't make it far enough. And here's just one more tennis mini-boss where you're fighting him while keeping yourself afloat with a halberd. And then that'll be it for Lava Cavern. So Thunder Rock, despite being the fourth rock fight, I find to actually be a little bit easier than Hard Rock. Mostly because of the monkey bushes that are scattered throughout the whole level. They give you a lot of movement options. And here I actually do mess up and get hit by that meteor. But other than that, this fight went pretty well, and it's not possible to 2-cycle this guy, so 3-cycle is the best you can do. Cloudy Heights. Now, in this level is for score attacks or for a casual run. This would be the biggest combo in the game. It's actually possible to get as high as 18 combo if you actually land here and then start it with a backflip. But in a speedrun setting, you won't bother with that, and the highest that you can get is actually a 17 without that. Almost everything that could contribute to a combo is present in this level. They really went all out to make this as big of a combo level as you can. I've seen score attack runs that get over 3,000 just from this combo here. But for the speed run, I'm expecting to get 800 to 900 from this combo. In this trampoline vine section, I make sure to ground pound back on the trampoline vine, and that gives me enough momentum to make it straight to the next one without using the monkey bushes. Now right there I actually missed an edge hop that could have gotten me one extra combo. So overall, instead of a 17 combo, we'll be seeing the highest that I get is a 16. It's not that big of a deal, I still get plenty of points in this kingdom. This Hellerbird section has a little bit about it that's kind of tricky. Those mosquitoes up there, you have to make sure to clap to keep them away. And then this movement right at the end is tricky to do quickly without hitting anything. So now one last Flurl section to end off this combo, but Flurl's really slow, so we're just gonna drop him and go skydiving instead. So Magma Coliseum is another interesting level. It involves refights of almost every mini-boss in the game. The only exception I can think of is the underwater fish mini-boss, because there is no underwater section in this level. One thing I really like about the design of this level is how all of the mini-bosses have a different and unique way of making sure that you fight them. Like, for example, the armadillo. That monkey bush there isn't active until after you kill him. And we'll get to the rest, the others, as we get to them. This boulder here doesn't move on its own, you actually have to stay on the left side to keep it rolling to the left. And next up is the chicken plant, which of course is just blocking the way. There's no way to get above him. I've tried many times to skip that. And this pufferfish, of course, is just blocking the hallway. Now, there actually is a way to skip this Kokopi fight. The one on the right is just not necessary to kill under any circumstances. But there's a glitch that you can skip these guys with. It's very difficult and very inconsistent to pull off. I don't even go for it in world record attempts. It's just that difficult. And last up is the tennis mini-boss here. And killing him raises the platform that leads to the chili pepper. Now, the boss here, Double Tusk, can go one of two ways. Everything can go perfectly, or everything goes horribly, horribly wrong. So the first thing you do is stun both of them to have them release pineapples. And I'm actually going to throw all 8 of the pineapples that are dropped into one of them, and that'll kill him right away. And that worked out perfectly this run. There's a small chance that... yeah, it did happen in this run. There's a small chance that right there's actually a few frames of gameplay in between the first one dying and the second getting mad. I don't know why they do that, but it's kind of funny to see when it happens. And now, throwing that last one into his heart would have done 25 damage, not enough to kill him, so I wait and throw this last one in. Messed up a little bit at the end, but was able to recover it pretty nicely. And that's Double Tusk, probably the hardest fight in the game. So, coming up in the next kingdom is Ninja Rally, which is the last race. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to see too much of it because of a glitch that skips over half of it, called IWC, or some people in the community like to call it Zoom Clap. Basically, if you clap on every frame while sliding up a wall, when you reach the edge, you will get flung backwards really, really fast. So I have to adjust the clap sensor to be really sensitive, otherwise the clap sensor won't pick up the claps fast enough. And how I'm physically doing that is I'm actually picking up the bongos and blowing into the clap sensor. There are other uses for this glitch throughout the run, but that is the only one that I've found is consistent enough to be marathon safe. So after that, we're moving on to the last real level in the game, Asteroid Belt. And most of this level involves traveling through these dragon snakes in between different asteroids. Interesting to note, the team that made Jungle Beat actually also went on to work on Mario Galaxy, so if you notice, there are actually some assets from Jungle Beat that are used in Mario Galaxy, like swinging on the giant plants, for example. But anyway, here is one last Kogapi fight. The bird up in the top is actually really helpful. He gives us 2 out of the 3 coconuts we need to kill the boss. So sliding down here, there's actually way more than 100 flowers up there. But we have to keep clapping to grab as many of them as we can. It's not difficult to get over 100. Then we jump off the right there to skip a small section down off to the left there. Now we have the last spider of the game, our last chance to get the good pattern. And unfortunately we missed it. Now, coming up here is a fairly difficult trick, actually. Asteroid skip. Oh, actually got hit there. That's pretty bad. That cost me quite a bit of points, because when you get hit in midair, you lose all the points that you had from the time you touch the ground. So right there, if you edge hop off of the left wall there, you actually get slightly more height, and you're able to make it up there without having to go all the way around the left side of the asteroid. One last mini-boss fight here, and then we'll be out of Asteroid Belt. Again, just like before, we wait for him to do the blue shockwave, clap it back at him, and he's dead. Now, unfortunately, because of that mistake just before the asteroid skip, I'm a little short on points. But this is a platform jump game, so it costs a little bit of time, but I'm able to make up enough points that I still get platinum. Now the last boss is Sumo Kong. You can't actually clap to dodge his attacks right away. If you do, DK will sort of get pushed off balance. But what you can do is block the first one and then clap under the second one. They intend for you to keep blocking like 3 in a row, and then on the third one, then you can start beating him up. But as it turns out, you can actually dodge underneath if you have countered at least one of them. So, Starfruit down. Now we're going into the real final boss of the game, Ghastly King. It's actually very similar to Cactus King in almost all respects. It's just a single level. You start with 200 points. The level itself is very similar. The fight itself is very similar. And just like Cactus King, killing him gives you 800 points, so all we need is 400 going into the fight. Now, you don't really see it in the speedrun, but Ghastly King does have a few extra attacks that Cactus King didn't. Ghastly King can actually shoot a ball of dark energy at you, and if you're way above him, he can actually do a flip kick. But in the speedrun, we actually take care of him exactly the same way that you do Cactus King. So these fights appear nearly identical. And time for the speedrun stops as soon as the colors go negative right there, as you kill Ghastly King. So, after this last crust ceremony, we go through the closing ceremony one last time. This time we actually have Ninja Apes and all the Kong bosses following us as well. And clap along with the monkeys to start the credits, for real this time. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed Donkey Kong Jungle Beat.